We welcome you to this Get Up exclusive. I am Greeny, that is Kmart, that is Lewis, and he's the man who invented the draft, Mel Kiper Jr. The countdown to the NFL draft is on, and that means that Mel has released his final mock of this cycle before we all head to the Steel City. You're looking at it now. There are some very interesting notes there. Jeremiyah Love, 4 to Tennessee. Caleb Downs, the safety from Ohio State, 5 to the New York Giants. The Dallas Cowboys shaking up the draft in Mel's projection, moving up to number 6 to take Sonny Styles. And then if you look at the bottom of your screen, you see he does project a second quarterback to go in this class. That is Ty Simpson, with Arizona trading up into the end of round 1 to make that move. So those are some of the interesting decisions that Mel is forecasting teams making. Let's talk about some of the players, okay? Let's do some player comparisons, player comps, which are very popular. I know a lot of you guys hate doing them, but it's our show, so we're going to make you do it anyway. Here we go. Lewis, Fernando Mendoza has been the number 1 pick in this draft for a very long time. What NFL quarterback does he remind you of?
Okay, you have to go back in the Wayback Machine here, okay? Do you remember Drew Bledsoe?
Of course.
Remember Drew Bledsoe when he came out in the league in 1994? I played against him in the playoffs. He set the league on fire back then. Same body type as Fernando Mendoza. Same exact body type, about 6'5", 236 pounds, pocket passer. The arm angles look exactly the same. The mobility looks the same, although Fernando, I believe, is a little bit better of a runner. But they throw the football so similarly that when I was sitting there thinking about this, when we were getting ready for the draft, I'm going, that's exactly who it is. And guess who was the number 1 overall pick in 1994? Drew Bledsoe.
Yes.
So that's, for me, it's an easy one.
By the Parcells Patriots.
That's right.
And took that team to a Super Bowl. People always remember that he got hurt and Brady took over and then they became a dynasty. But Bledsoe had that team in the Super Bowl before then. How about it, Mel, as you evaluate him, and you've been doing this going way back even before Drew Bledsoe. Does that seem like a reasonable comparison for you? And what should the fans be expecting from Mendoza at the next level?
Yeah, very reasonable. And Drew Bledsoe, I'm going to quarterback he was coming out of Washington State. I think Peyton Manning, cross between Peyton Manning and Matt Ryan for me. And grades very similar. You talk about where Fernando Mendoza in terms of grades, right there with Matt Ryan and certainly Eli Manning. But in terms of a comp, I would go somewhere between Peyton and Matt Ryan on Fernando Mendoza.
And it came out from an insider's perspective, yeah.
No, I'm curious from these guys, does the evaluation for Mendoza, does it change based off of the team that he's going to? New GM, new head coach. Does that change how you forecast what he can be?
No, it doesn't. Because honestly, look, obviously teams and coaches have philosophical beliefs about how they want to play the game and how they want their quarterback to be able to play the game, while at the same time, they have to be willing to be adaptable and kind of form some things around what this guy obviously showed you in college that made you believe he was going to be the number 1 overall pick overall. So I don't think it changes at all. That's what great coaches have to do. That's what Clint Kubiak's going to do in Las Vegas with Fernando.
You raise an interesting question, because I'm just doing this off the top of my head, but I think the last 3 quarterbacks who went number 1 overall, their coaches got fired after or in their rookie season, right? Bryce Young and Cam Ward and Caleb Williams, not in that order. I mean, their coaches all got fired, right, Mel? So these things aren't always like a smooth ride to where these guys want to go.
Yep.
Yeah, but I love the fact that Clint Kubiak comes in with Fernando Mendoza for a team now with Spytech GM and Tom Brady's influence, has some pieces to go out and get Linderbaum from Baltimore, right? And you get a guy, I went back to Dave Dalby, right, and Jim Otto, and Don Moswar. This has been a center-centric Raider team with the late, great Al Davis, right? Now you get Linderbaum to anchor things for the rookie quarterback. You got Colton Miller at left tackle, Jackson Powers-Johnson, Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer, you had Naylor, you have Gentry. So you have pieces around this young quarterback, and you get the veteran quarterback coming in as a bridge. So I think everything sets up with the new head coach, handpicking this quarterback, being fortunate to get the number 1 pick, and have Mendoza be there. It all, I think, will fall into place perfectly.
Yeah, Hembo reminds me, Trevor Lawrence, another quarterback who went number 1 overall, whose coach got fired during his first season. All right, let's move on to the next one. We got Jeremiyah Love. Mel is forecasting him to go number 4 overall. Obviously, he's a superstar prospect. Lewis, give me a comparison, you think, for Jeremiyah Love.
This is a tough one because, look, Jeremiyah is very much so different in terms of body type when you compare him to a lot of the current running backs in the NFL. And as I said, I'm big into movement patterns. How does a guy look when he's carrying the football? How does he move laterally? What does his stride length look like? He looks like a slightly bigger James Cook is what he looks like from Buffalo. James is super smooth. real, like silky, like elusive. He doesn't make real hard cuts. He just makes people miss. If you don't wrap him up, he's going to run through you. Can he catch the ball in the backfield? Heck yeah. Can he take it the distance and rip off plus 20, 40, 50, 60-yard runs? These are all the things Jeremiyah can do. And when it comes down to it, that's who Buffalo wants to have the ball in his hands. Outside of the quarterback, they want to put it in James Cook's hands. Jeremiah's going to do the same thing for somebody.
James Cook led the NFL in rushing last year, so that's a pretty good sign. What do you think, Mel?
I like it. Hey, Lewis, you did your homework on this one, pal, as you always do, Lou. But I'll give you, I know you checked the stats and you saw 27 receptions final year at Georgia for James Cook, 27 receptions this year for Love, 10-5 average for Cook, 10-4 for Jeremiyah, 4 touchdowns to 3 for Cook over Love. So the numbers for receiving across the board final year were exactly the same for James Cook. They put him out wide at Georgia. We talked about the ability of Love in the slot and wide in the NFL. James Cook was exactly that with the Georgia Bulldogs. Became a heck of a second-round pick. So, again, the receiving ability of Cook and Love and the numbers were identical.
Kmart, how about it? You're hearing really good things about him from teams all over the place, right?
Listen, I mean, what I love about Jeremiyah Love is the fact that he's not just a running back. I think it really challenges teams and evaluators to say, how can we take this dynamic offensive weapon and have him kind of transform what we can do? I said on Get Up earlier, I had a GM who's picking in the top 10 who said, listen, elite talent deserves to go top 5. Whether it be Tennessee, the Giants, he could improve so many different squads.
You know what I appreciate about him? As one who writes the lead-ins to things, I like that his name is Love. Like I use that with Jordan all the time. What's Love got to do with it? All you need is love.
And he's just seeing
There's
all
so many of them.
There are so many directions.
You got to come up with
that
something new when we get to Pittsburgh.
It's just an outstanding name for a really, really good player to have. So I'm all for that. Let me get to the next one. Many people believe Sonny Styles is the best defensive prospect in this draft. Mel has the Cowboys making the huge trade up to get him at 6. Lewis, what's the comparison for Sonny Styles?
Look, the easy one is Fred Warner in today's game because of the height, because of the fact that he's a bigger off-ball linebacker. He's a guy who's got tremendous speed. He's a guy who, look, I'll tell you this, Fred Warner will absolutely, split your helmet open. Sonny is getting to that point because he's a former safety who's moved down to linebacker, but you saw in the Big Ten championship game against Indiana, he was all over the place. But you know, when I sit here and I think about it right now as we're actually doing this and we're taping this, there was a guy who made a transition also from safety rover to an inside linebacker position and wound up becoming a Hall of Famer for the Chicago Bears.
That's Brian Urlacher, yeah.
That's what you're getting. That kind of big, tall guy who, when you see him come out and he's standing there at the Mike linebacker position, you're going, who is that guy? I mean, 6'5", 240 pounds who runs like that? That's probably the more modern day, or I shouldn't say modern day, maybe the direct one-to-one comparison, moving from the back end down to the linebacker position.
What do you think, Mel?
I'll tell you, Lewis had a 7.5 grade in my blue book coming out of Pitt. He's got a 9.9 grade as an analyst because he pulls all his stuff out of the air. And he's right about Urlacher. Urlacher was a great had punt return ability. Can you believe that? Number 44 at New Mexico with the Lobos, punt return ability. Sonny Styles could have done everything. So I'm with you, Lewis. Sonny Styles, and Kimberley's been on it from the get-go. And Sonny Styles, what a great football player he can be in the NFL. And it's going to be fun to see where he comes off the board because you're getting one of the best players in the draft with a kid like this.
Feels, Kmart, like maybe as high as 2 or 3, although almost no one is projecting it there. Certainly no lower than 7 for a guy like Sonny Styles. Does that seem right from the people you talk to?
1,000%. But I'm hoping Mel's mock comes to fruition because I'll be in Dallas. So I want to see that happen. Listen, just again, rare measurables. People told me runs fast, can play anywhere, but A+ person. Character, he can relate to anyone. And when you talk to a lot of these evaluators, Lewis, you've said it all day, it's not just what he can do on the field, but who is he behind closed doors and in our locker room and as a leader. So he checks all the boxes for any team.
Just can't wait.
Yeah.
I mean, we're sitting here. We are still a week away, and I literally cannot wait. But right now, that is all the time we have for today's Get Up exclusive. Be sure you tune in to Get Up on weekday mornings on ESPN every day from 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern Time.